The world of today may have changed, yet our belief has always stayed the same. Everyone deserves the good. That's why we've changed for the better. We've made ourselves better, so we can reach those who have just begun to chase after their dreams. So we can give women the light by which to guide their families to a better tomorrow. So we can realize the hope that every Filipino harbors and move forward, leaving no one behind. We're better today, because today is what shapes the future. And in the future, we see everyone leading a lifetime for good. InLife, a lifetime for good.
Saang sulok ng langit ko matatagpuan? Sa pangarap lang namasdan, isang lingon sa langit at isang ngiting wakas. May talang kikisla, gabay patungo sa tamang landas. Unti-unti mararating kalangitan at bituin. Unti-unting kinabukasan ko'y magniningning. Hawak ngayon, tibay ng damdamin. Bukas naman sa'king pagising, kapiling ko'y pangarap na bituin.
InLife, a dream today, a lifetime for good tomorrow.
That's why InLife is joining.
How can InLife protect my future if I keep changing the future I want? Now, I just want to earn in life. But soon, I want all my bases in life covered. And of course, I want to live long to enjoy in life. That's why I really need to keep things flexible in life.
InLife Wealth Assure Plus puts you in control with comprehensive protection, accessible investments, and cash and health benefits, so you can have the freedom to do what you want and not what others want. With Wealth Assure Plus, we got you covered.
Papa, no more orange.
No more orange? You mix red with yellow. Orange!
Wow, ang galing mo naman, Papa.
To my 5-year-old self, Papa knew everything. To my 10-year-old self, Papa may not have known everything.
Balik ka nga dito.
To my 18-year-old self,
Husay naman sa accounting.
I knew more things than Papa. Now that Papa's gone, I realize he knew the things that truly matter. Today, I'm 24, a financial analyst and CPA, a big sister, a patient tutor to my siblings, and a dedicated caregiver to Mama. Papa made everything possible. He took good care of us, watched over us, and kept us safe and secure. In life and for a lifetime, Papa made me believe in the power of good. Thanks, Pa. Miss na miss na kita.
Insular Life, living on as in life, a lifetime for good.
Welcome to the InLife mobile app, where managing InLife policies is not just a task, but a seamless experience. Unlock a world of possibilities. Monitor InLife policy funds. Manage policy transactions. And connect with InLife instantly. Empowering policyholders, assisting advisors on their unique financial journey. Navigate effortlessly through InLife policies with the improved and more intuitive interface. It's designed with our policyholders in mind. New to the app? Easy and convenient onboarding pages and a quick tour facility ensure that our policyholders can quickly get the hang of using the mobile app. We made it easy without sacrificing security with its biometrics feature. It's now more accessible. If your policyholders find that the InLife app is a bit tricky to navigate on their phones, we've got great news. They can easily switch to the web version for a smoother experience. They still get to enjoy all the awesome features and handle their transactions on a bigger, more user-friendly screen. No need to wait on queue. Experience a seamless policy management journey with the InLife app. Whether it's making premium payments, enrolling in auto credit, or updating beneficiaries, every transaction is effortlessly executed with just a few taps on their mobile phone. If you wish to see more, use your own InLife app account. With continuous use of the app, we get feedback to help us improve and ensure that we deliver an excellent experience in the InLife app. Allow us to be a force of good, watching out for each other and helping one another. Live a lifetime for good. Empower InLife policyholders to take charge of their financial future. The InLife app, where managing InLife policies is as simple as a touch. Download or update the InLife app today and make sure your policyholders do too.
Saang sulok ng langit ko matatagpuan? Sa pangarap lang namasdan, isang lingon sa langit at isang ngiting wakas. May talang kikislap, gabay patungo sa tamang landas. Unti-unti mararating kalangitan at bituin. Pagising, kapiling ko'y pangarap na bituin.
InLife, a dream today, a lifetime for good tomorrow.
To my 5-year-old self, Papa knew everything. To my 10-year-old self, Papa may not have known everything.
Balik ka nga dito.
To my 18-year-old self,
Husay naman sa accounting.
I knew more things than Papa. Now that Papa's gone, I realize he knew the things that truly matter. Today, I'm 24, a financial analyst and CPA, a big sister, a patient tutor to my siblings, and a dedicated caregiver to Mama. Papa made everything possible. He took good care of us, watched over us, and kept us safe and secure. In life and for a lifetime, Papa made me believe in the power of good. Thanks, Pa. Miss na kita.
Insular Life, living on as in life, a lifetime for good.
To InLife's 4-part part Financial Independence Talk series. I'm Dr. Danny Laurel. I will be your host for today's session. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a journalist and news anchor, but what less people know is I'm actually a finance professor by training. I have a PhD in finance. I've been teaching for 15 years. I've also taught financial literacy to W's as a volunteer for a decade. This is a topic so close to my heart. We are so thrilled to have you join us all as we embark on this very exciting journey towards your financial independence. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently streaming live on the Facebook and YouTube channels of InLife. So if you are watching us live, we encourage you to invite your family, your friends to join and watch this very special session. Today marks the beginning of a series designed to equip you with the knowledge and the tools you need to secure a prosperous and worry-free future. So whether you guys are just starting your career or maybe already planning for your future, this series is for you. This first session is entitled Wealth Journey. Financial independence. And over the next hour, we will delve into the essentials of financial planning, explore some key investment strategies, and understand the importance of having a steady income during your later years. But before we get started, guys, let me share a little bit about what you can expect from today's session. So, we will be starting this session with a comprehensive introduction to financial planning. Why is this so important? What does it entail and how you can get started? And then we will explore the various investment strategies that can help you build a robust financial foundation. Finally, we will be discussing the importance of securing a steady income stream to ensure a comfortable and worry free retirement. But first of all, let's kick off by talking about why financial independence is so crucial, what it even means, and to us, what it means is having the freedom to make life choices without being overly constrained by so many financial pressures. It also means having the security to pursue your passions, support your family, and of course, one day enjoy your retirement without having to worry all the time about running out of money. So, in today's ever changing world, as we know, financial independence is more important than ever. So before we begin, I'd love to hear from you guys before we bring our very esteemed speaker on board here. Share with us in the comments section, what does financial independence mean to you? Why is it important for you to achieve it? So I'll give you guys a few seconds and I'm going to be trying to read some of your responses here shortly. Again, the question is, what does financial independence mean to you? And why is it so important for you guys to achieve it? Now, we already discussed this earlier on. For me, I have three kids. Well, I have two kids with one on the way. So I'm almost giving birth. And I'm supporting them financially. And to me, it means that I need to work very, very hard to secure not just my own future, but also the future of my children. But at the same time, I want to live my life and I want to be happy. I want to pursue my passions. So it's very important for me to be able to make, both what I do as a living, something that I'm very passionate about. And when I do that, I feel like, earning money is just a part of my day-to-day life and it's not, something that I'm scared to do. So what about you guys? Let's see if you have any comments here. And if not, of course, we will go back to your responses later on. I'm sure you have a lot of questions that you guys will have for our speaker later on, and hopefully we can address those questions. So, once again, I'm sure that you are all here watching this webinar because you're committed to taking control of your financial future. And throughout this session, just engage with us. Please use the official event hashtag, that is hashtag InLife Financial Independence Series. So once again, give us your comments on the question I asked earlier. What does financial independence mean to you? And use our official event hashtag InLife Financial Independence Series. Share with us your insights, ask us your questions, and post your comments on here. So let's see if we have any comments that you've got for us. And there you have it on your screens once again, the official hashtag InLife Financial Independence series for all of you guys to be able to join us in this conversation. All right, I have a couple of responses here from our audience. This one is from Christina Y. Muniz. Financial independence means having sufficient personal wealth to live comfortably without relying on traditional employment for basic necessities. That's a great answer here, and we will get back to what you commented on. No, sufficient wealth to live comfortably without relying on just traditional employment. So maybe that means passive income for a lot of you guys. Not feeling stressed if you have to leave your job. Another one here from Mary Templo Nuevo. Okay, Oquendo, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Financial independence is being financially secure, debt free, and financially capable to pursue the life we want as a family. I think that's a good question for a speaker later. Does it mean that we need to be debt free to call ourselves financially independent? That's a very good question that we can ponder on later. This one from Maricel Andes. Thank you for your answer. Financial independence to me means having the freedom to make choices about how to live your life without being constrained by financial pressures. That's very, very important. Even your mental health, no, being able to sleep at night, live your happy life without always thinking at the back of your head, how am I going to finance this? This one from D. Sarol. Financial freedom is important because while we work for money, we should also prepare to have money to work for us when you retire. Ika nga, money for life. What a great way to put it, no? So don't work just for money, but make the money work for us. Okay, I still have so many comments here. Ito from Sebak Lawrence. Mahalaga siya para manage ng maayos ang pera, kinikita natin, at higit sa lahat, ang kinikita natin dapat na ay na di lang sa para sa sarili natin dahil magkakaroon tayo ng pamilya na kung saan nakasalalay ang future ng magiging anak natin dito. So I guess same ng sinabi ko earlier on, we are thinking as well of our families, of our children, the next generation. And I have so many comments here, but one last I'm going to read out here. Suzette de Nuevo, financial independence is equal to continue living the good life until my last day in the world without having to depend from others for money. What a great way to put it, no? So the opposite of dependence from others is indeed financial independence. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing those initial thoughts. I'm sure that will be coloring our discussion for today. And speaking of discussion, leading us through this journey, we have with us a true expert in the field. We are so honored to have our featured speaker with us today. With his extensive experience and profound insights, he will guide us through the steps to achieve financial independence and inspire us to take charge of our financial futures. He is a distinguished personal finance professional, serving as the president and the CEO of Insight TM Corporation, where he provides expert guidance on intergenerational wealth sustainability. He also serves as a chairman at the Wealth Management Center for Communications and Research Incorporated, or the WMCI. This is a premier center for financial education. He is a subject matter lead faculty for healthcare and insurance planning in the Certified Wealth Planner, or the CWP program. He is a published author known for his book entitled Dare to Journey, The Path to Meaningful Wealth, and his blog, The Personal Economist. You can find that at www.insight-tmc.com. Our speaker holds a Bachelor in Business Management from the University of the Philippines and a Master of Business Economics from the University of Asia and the Pacific. Without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to please introduce our esteemed speaker, Mr. Aristides Jong Merida Jr. All right, let's see if Mr. Jong is here. Are you here with us, Sir Jong?
Hello, Danny. Thank you for the warm introduction. And I'd like to say good afternoon to everybody. Maybe the different time zone for the guys listening in other countries. Welcome to our session today.
Floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you, Danny. So, good afternoon, guys, and welcome to our session. I can assure you that this is going to be an interesting one. We can start off by me asking you a few questions about your personal aspirations in life, particularly the financial dimension. So, let me start by asking you this question. And I often start all of my lectures by asking this question. What is the ultimate financial destination of your life? If I were to ask you that question, what is it exactly that you would like to happen to your lives financially? Uh, Now, typically when I ask this in a crowd face to face, what follows will be silence. And that is because the typical Filipino is not ready to provide an answer to a question that he often does not ask of himself. Very few of us really ask ourselves, ano ba talagang gusto kong mangyari sa buhay ko financially? But after the silence, a few answers begin to come in, and that is, I want to become financially independent is one. I want to become retired. I want to retire if you're talking of people who have been working for quite some time, and I want to be wealthy. Those are the three classifications of aspirations that people often express or manifest. No? And so I would typically go to one part of the room and there I ask people, okay, who among you here want to retire? And many hands would be raised up in the air. And I proceed to ask, okay, so can you, in your own words, tell me what retirement means to you? Ano ba talaga ang definition ng retirement for people who aspire to retire? And there are many answers, but always there will be three phrases that will come to the surface. What are these? Retirement is a comfortable life, secure, no worries about money, right? Comfortable life, secure, no worries about money. And when I ask people, so when do you want to retire? The typical answer of a Filipino to that question is when I'm 60 or 65 years old. Okay, so comfortable life, secure, no worries about money, and it's going to happen when I'm 60 or 65 years old. So I go to another part of the room and there I ask people, okay, who among you here want to become financially independent? And again, many hands will be raised. And then I ask, okay, can you tell me in your own words exactly what financial independence means to you? And there will be many answers. There will be as many answers as there are people. But always, there will be three phrases that will rise to the surface. And what are these? Financial independence is a comfortable life, secure, no worries about money. What did you guys notice? It has the same definition as retirement. Comfortable life, secure, no worries about money. But when you ask people, when do you want to become financially independent? Their answer, now, today. So here is the big question. Why is it that when we label it as retirement, people think it's not going to happen anytime soon? People think that should happen when I'm 60 or 65 years old. But when we label it as financial independence, there seems to be an urgency to it. And yet, these two events are actually one and the same event in your life. So here is the first takeaway from today's lesson. Retirement, financial independence, rich, they all mean one and the same thing. It is not an age. It is an amount of money. It is an amount of money which, if you successfully accumulate it, will allow you to say, tomorrow when I wake up, I don't need to worry about another day of work for the rest of my life. That is retirement. That is financial independence. That is rich. An amount of money that will sustain you and the lifestyle you're accustomed to up to the last day of your life without running out. So that's a number, guys. That's a figure. In the world of finance, we call that the number that will set you free, the financial freedom number. So here is a question. Who among you here listening in know your number? Who among you have actually determined that this particular amount of money is the goal of my financial life? And I am dedicating myself, I'm committing myself to the achievement of this number. Now, unfortunately, in my long experience, here is the grim reality. Very few people know their number. And that is a big problem. Why? Because if you don't know the number that will set you free, you have not really established the financial goal of your life. And if you don't have a goal, at least one that hasn't been articulated, then you're not asking the second most important question of your financial life, which is, how do I get there? So without a goal and without a method, you're not going to achieve financial independence. You're not going to be able to retire. You are not going to be rich. Now, this lack of awareness of setting a goal and establishing a method is the reason why 99% of all Filipinos fail to achieve the dream. Guys, take note of the number. 99% of all Filipinos fail to achieve financial sustainability in our lives. What does that mean? 99% of all Filipinos are not viable until death. It simply means you're going to have your money run out ahead of your life. Ubus na yung pera, hindi pa ubus ang buhay. Now, that is a very scary prospect. You know why? Because that means, and here are the consequences of that figure, that means 99% of all of us will find ourselves completely dependent on someone before we go. That means 99% of all of us are not going to be leaving wealth behind. That means 99% of all of us are going to die bankrupt. And that means 99% of all of us are going to perpetuate the cycle of intergenerational dependency. Anong ibig sabihin nun? What is the meaning of intergenerational dependency? Let me put it this way. If you're a typical Filipino adult today, between the ages of 20 and 50, you are in what I call the bibingka generation. Now, you might be wondering, why bibingka? No, the Americans, they have a term for it. They call it the sandwich generation. But sandwich is not indicative of the situation we Filipinos find ourselves in. Bakit bibingka? You know how bibingka is cooked, right? Fire above and fire below. That is the financial situation that many Filipino adults find themselves in, supporting parents above them and supporting their own kids under them at the same time. Life is difficult. Money doesn't go very far when you find yourself in that situation. Supporting aging elders and supporting young people who are just getting started in life. The question to ask is, if you find yourself in that situation, can you save money for your own future? The usual answer is no. And if you cannot save money for your own retirement, if you cannot build wealth because of the financial requirements of today, what will that make of you when it's your turn to retire? You know what will happen, guys? The day you stop working is the day you put your own kids into the same bibingka generation you could not escape from. Why? Because you're not able to accumulate the amount of money needed to achieve financial independence, which means you're going to find yourself running out of money before you are dead and depending on your kids who now have taken your place in the same bibingka generation you could not escape from. So, what's the goal? The goal is to accumulate an amount of money that will last you a lifetime, sustaining you and the lifestyle you're used to without running out. Di madali. Let me give you a very quick example of how this works out, guys. If you are earning 50,000 a month and you are spending 50,000 a month, then your lifestyle is 600,000 a year, right? Now, if you're earning that kind of money from employment, the day you stop working is the day you stop earning. But that may not be the day you stop living, which means expenses continue. So the day you stop working, you better have an amount of money ready for you to deploy and put to work effectively replacing you as the source of income. So how much should that money be? Let's go back to our example. If you are spending 50,000 a month, that's 600,000 a year. And the money that you must have should be able to generate 600,000 a year because you have stopped working. And so the quick calculation is how much should this money be? The answer is 15 million. And it is at this point when people realize that this is not going to be easy, right? I mean, let's face it, guys. If you're earning 50, spending 50,000 a month, 15 million seems like an unreachable figure. But that is the amount of money that you need to sustain your lifestyle. We're not even talking about inflation here anymore. We're talking about 600,000 a year to simplify the discussion. And for that money to become available to you without working, you need 15 million, which you will probably invest maybe in the simplest instrument like a bond, which will give you 4% yield each year. What is 4% of 15 million? That's 600,000. That is the amount you need to sustain yourself until you're dead. And here is where the initial hurdle is encountered. Bakit? 15 million is a huge amount of money. And many of the people who attend my retirement planning seminars are hearing of the amount that they need to sustain them a year or two away from retirement. Guys, I used to conduct retirement planning for many companies here in Manila. The problem is the people who attend retirement planning seminars are the guys who are 1, 2 years away from retirement. And let's face it, no? If you're earning 50, 60,000 a month, you have been with your company for 15, 20, 25 years, you're going to get 4, 5, 6 million. You think you're okay. You think you're going to be financially comfortable. Not many people do the math. And so here I am conducting a retirement planning seminar, and you're hearing of the amount you need to be sustainable for the rest of your life. For the first time, and you are a year or two away from retiring, you're not going to like me. Let me share this with you. A few months ago, I was invited to talk before the retirees of one of the country's biggest banks. And when I entered the room, there was a party atmosphere. People were happy. They were finally going to retire, right? And so I asked the HR, you think I should tell them about this figure that they should have? Because I didn't want to break the mood. I didn't want to be the party pooper. People were happy to be there. But the HR said, yeah, I think you got to tell them because they need to know. And I can tell you that I entered a room with a party atmosphere and left a room with a funeral atmosphere. It is not a good time to be hearing about how little you have when you don't have time anymore to accumulate it. So, guys, what am I telling you? It's very important. The reason why many Filipinos never make it is because we are not even aware that we should be accumulating an amount of money, which at some point in our lives will replace us as the source of income. Here's another experience. Okay, so I do consulting work in the pharma space, and one of the pharmaceutical companies engaged me to provide financial guidance to doctors. And you know, doctors, many of them earn a lot of money, but they also spend a lot of money. And so there's this doctor that came to me and said, okay, I'm very tired of talking to my patients up to 10 in the evening. I'd like to quit the practice already. I'm 57 years old. And my question is, how much do I need to have to sustain my lifestyle so that even if I'm no longer practicing, I can maintain it? And very quickly, I asked him, doctor, if you don't mind my asking a few questions. Number one, how much do you earn every month? And he goes, 500,000 a month. It's not a small amount of money. And I go, so how much do you spend every month? And he goes, 500,000 bucks a month. He earns 500,000, he spends 500,000. And so I told him, okay, your question is how much do you need to accumulate in order to maintain that lifestyle of 500,000 of expenses a month? The quick answer, he needs 150 million. And doctor got mad at me. He said, "What makes you think I can accumulate 150 million? I'm just a doctor." And I told him, "This is the problem, doctor. In your mind, it's impossible to accumulate 150 million, but you're already living the lifestyle that needs that amount of money. You're already spending half a million bucks a month, which is 6 million a year. And if you want to maintain a lifestyle of 6 million a year without working, you need 150 million working for you, perhaps placed in a bond, which will give you 4%, like I mentioned earlier. What is 4% of 150 million? That's 6 million. So guys, here's our biggest problem when we talk about financial independence. We do not realize that we need to do this early in our lives. Why? Because if I tell you you need to accumulate 30 million and you got 30 years, it's going to be easy. But if you're hearing that you need 15 million and you got 1 year to go, it's not going to be a comfortable idea for many. So the first step to financial independence really is understanding the need to be setting financial goals. And these goals are not going to be easy to arrive at. Why? Because many of us can't quite wrap our minds around the big figures that are needed in the future to sustain our lifestyle. I admit, I've spoken to many people who earn 50,000 a month and spend 50,000 a month. And the idea of accumulating 15 million is so unthinkable that so many of them say, never mind. It's impossible. And this becomes a mindset problem because the moment you say it cannot be done, you're always correct. Whether you say it can be done or it cannot be done, you're always correct. And the first hurdle is getting people to understand and accept that it can be done. And many of us say, no, it cannot be. And that's the biggest obstacle to financial independence in this country. The belief that it can be done after the goal is set. And therefore, when we're talking financial independence, we always try to understand the psychology behind how people regard financial independence. Because everybody thinks that retirement is a time to be happy, the time to relax, the time to spend all of your free time with the people that you love. But guys, you need money for that to happen. And what does the evidence suggest? 99% of the time, the money is insufficient. The money is inadequate. The money is going to run out before life. And don't let me even tell you, because this is not part of the presentation, don't let me tell you that you're going to get sick before you go. As an aside, top 10 causes of death in the Philippines, 9 are illness. What is the likelihood of you getting sick before you go? 90%. At a time when you don't have money anymore. So that's the reason why you perpetuate the cycle of intergenerational dependency because we don't leave wealth behind. We leave debt. We leave problems. We leave missed opportunities for our next generation to live better lives. So, having said all of that, no, I just wanted to emphasize that when we talk about financial independence, we need to be crystal clear about what it is. And it's an amount of money. An amount of money that will guarantee that even if we don't work, it is sufficient, it is enough to last us a lifetime without running out. Now, after we have said that, then we can define what it means to have a successful financial journey. And that is simply the successful transition from supporting our lives through labor income, which many of us earn, to eventually supporting our lives through capital income. Now, let me thresh out these terms for you. Labor income is nothing more than income made by a man at work. If you're a doctor, you need to see patients, you need to go to the hospital, you need to perform surgery. You don't show up, you don't get paid. If you're a lawyer, you need to represent clients, you need to file pleadings, you need to go to court. You don't show up, you don't get paid. If you're an employee, you need to go to the office, you need to perform your work. You don't show up, you don't get paid. And that's a problem. Why? Because whether we like it or not, guys, at some point in our lives, we cannot show up. And that is the time when we stop earning. But if that's not the day you stop living, your expenses will continue. And therefore, we must be able to accumulate the money needed to generate capital income. What's capital income? Nothing more than money made by money. So, with the example I cited to you earlier, labor income 50,000 a month, expenses 50,000 a month. How much do you need to accumulate? 15 million. Because the capital income of 15 million placed in a bond is equivalent to the labor income which you will no longer earn if you stop working. So at some point in our lives, we must be able to successfully transition, which means you must be able to successfully accumulate that money. I know uh, many people that I've spoken to over the last 10, 15 years have expressed frustration and disappointment over the figures that they need to accumulate. But I can tell you this is the reason why we need to talk about the psychology of money. No? I can teach you all the finance I know, but if the mindset is not supportive of the idea that you can do this, you're not going to do it. Because only the people who actually believe that it can happen are those who take the steps needed to achieve financial independence. So it begins with the belief, it begins with the mindset, and everything follows from there. So, for those of you listening out there, the initial step is know your number. What is the number that will set you free? And if you encounter this belief that it cannot be done, that is the initial problem you have to solve. Because I can guarantee you, the moment you are convinced it can be done, the finance part is easy. It's the mindset that creates a problem for us because we're not quite convinced it can happen. Okay. So let me just give you a very brief difference between labor income and capital income. You want to be rich, guys? You want to be rich? Now, normally I would throw this question to the audience. Who among you here want to be rich? And people raise their hands. Okay. So you want to be rich? It's not only the amount of money you must have, it's also where it's coming from. How are you earning your money? Let me give you a difference. If there are three people in the room, one earning 10 million from salary, another earning 10 million from dividends in a business, and another earning 10 million from investment gains. Okay, investment gains. All are earning 10 million. Quick question. Who do you think is the wealthiest among the three? Same income, 10 million from salary, 10 million from dividends, 10 million from investment gains. The only difference, the provenance of the income. So many of you will say, it's the guy earning investment gains. And that is the correct answer. Why? Because in finance, the most basic concept is it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, right? And here is where taxation plays a role. If you're earning 10 million salary, you're not going to keep all of that. You're going to be paying 32% of that to taxes, which means you make 10, you keep 6.8. If you make 10 million from dividends, you're not going to keep all of that. You're going to pay 1 million or 10% of that to taxes. Now, investment gains, there's a very tiny part, particularly if you're selling stocks. You're going to pay a final tax of 6/100%. So let me give you a context, guys. If you are earning 10 million from salary, you're going to pay 3.2 million in taxes. If you're earning 10 million from dividends, you're going to pay 1 million in taxes. If you are earning 10 million investment gains, the tax is 6,000 bucks. So what does that tell you? It matters how you make your money. It matters. The provenance matters. So taxation is one. Second, I know many of us work hard, but no one can work 24/7, 365. which is what money does, right? Guys, here's the reality. The day you were born was the day you started your fight against gravity. And no one among us is going to win that fight. The longer we stay in this earth, the more our bodies become depleted, and we are at some point going to be the subject of the law of diminishing returns until finally we stop working. Okay. If you're making money from your body, from labor, at some point you will find yourself trying to earn a little bit less from the same effort you used to expend when you were younger until it stops. So you will not be sustainable if you are going to rely just on labor income. But capital income is money you make while you sleep, right? And therefore, the goal is to accumulate the money needed to generate the capital income that can completely sustain you without running out. And the third is returns. Uh, we, time is not good for the human body. The longer we stay on this earth, the less productive we become. But time is great for money, right? So, what am I telling you here? If the goal is to achieve financial independence, which by the way also means wealth, then the goal is to successfully transition from supporting your life through labor to eventually supporting your life through capital. And what does that mean? It means accumulating money starting now. What did I tell you? The people who attend my retirement planning seminars, they're no longer the people, we don't call it retirement planning anymore. We call it financial independence planning. And the people who attend are no longer the people who are about to retire. It's now the people who are newly hired, coming into the workforce at 21, 22 years old, hearing about the need to accumulate for the first time, comfortable with the idea that they have 30, 40 years to do this, and finally put an end to the cycle of intergenerational dependency that has bedeviled this country for the longest time. So yan ang goal natin, financial independence. No? So how do we do that? How do we achieve financial independence? We have to build wealth. We have to build wealth. And how do you do that? Very simple. What is the measure of wealth, guys? What is the measure of wealth? Many people in this country do not understand the meaning of wealth. They will say assets, they will say money. There's only one definition, and that is your net worth. Net worth is the only measure of personal financial wealth. And many people do not know their net worth. Now, that's a problem. Why? Because net worth, being the indicator of wealth, should be known in order for you to know if you're making progress or if you're actually deteriorating financially. And net worth does not rise on its own. You must be doing something for net worth to go up. Now, ironically, it does not require any effort for net worth to go down. So collaterally, you don't know your net worth, you're not doing anything to make it go up. What's happening to it? It's going down. And what do you call people whose net worths are going down? People who are becoming poorer. People who are becoming poorer. Guys, the first step is to establish a goal. The next step is to know where you are in the financial system, and that means knowing your net worth right now. A recent study actually established that 97% of all Filipinos do not know their net worth. So if we do not have a goal, we don't know our financial freedom number, we don't know where we are going. We don't know our net worth, we don't know where we are. And what did we say about a successful financial journey? Is getting from where we are right now to where we should be at. If we don't know the goal, we don't know our starting point, we don't have a method to traverse the distance, we're not going to achieve our goal. And that's the challenge of today's financial times. We need to educate people about this process. Many of us don't like numbers. And many of us, let me share this story with you guys. Interestingly, um, uh, a few months ago, I was invited to be a speaker in a gathering, and the other speaker was a foreigner who happens to be the CEO of an insurance company in this country. And we were talking before he spoke, and he said, I got here 10 years ago, and I noticed one thing right away, and that is that you Filipinos, you love to spend, right? You love to spend. And the problem is, since we're not quite oriented towards the bottom line, we spend in a manner that is not mindful of the need to create something na dapat may maiwan. Uh, he recalled how back in the day when he was in his home country, his father gave him a piggy bank, and his father told him, "Okay, you save your money. When your birthday comes around, we're going to break the piggy bank, and whatever it is you manage to save, I'm going to double that, and we're going to invest." So they save to invest money. Now, many of us, we save to what? We save to buy. We save to spend, right? And the reason why I'm pointing this out, guys, is because I'm not saying spending is wrong, but I think spending, a better understanding of spending should be within the context of what the role it plays in creating wealth. We have been oriented towards income as the measure of wealth. Many of us growing up were told that if we wanted to be wealthy, we have to study hard, because studying hard will give us good grades, and good grades will give us a good job, and a good job will give us a good salary. And it ended there. So many people have this concept that if I become successful in my corporate career, in whatever it is I'm doing, I'm going to be okay. But here's the problem. It doesn't end there. Let me give you an example. Who do you think is better off financially? A guy's earning 25,000 and spending 20,000 a month, or a guy earning half a million spending 600,000 a month? You would think the first one is better off, but not in this country, because we'd like to think that the way to be wealthy in this country is to have a high salary. A high salary is only the beginning. It's not the end. It is not the goal. What you do with that salary will determine your financial standing in life. And unfortunately, for many of us, we have not been oriented towards what we can do with the salary. We have been told that a high salary is the goal unto itself. No, it's not. Because what did you learn today? You learned that the measure of wealth is net worth. And if you are earning half a million a month, but you're spending 600,000 a month, I can guarantee you're not building net worth. The key is to be able to create something in the bottom line. Those of you listening in who have businesses, you know this, right? Doesn't matter how much you sell. If your expenses are more than your revenue, you're not going to create profit. And without profit, it doesn't matter. Your business is not in good shape. No different from the household. You can earn 600, 700, 800,000 a month. If you're spending more than that, you're unable to create a bottom line. Then you're not building wealth. And wealth is the goal, because wealth is what will sustain us when we stop working. It is wealth in the form of capital that will generate the income needed to give us a comfortable life in retirement, even without working. So the key is to accumulate money, and the only way that can happen is kung may naiiwan sa baba. So I know many of you here would probably say, so how do you do that? No. The journey from income to wealth is the measure of our financial success. We need high salaries. Sure, everybody needs high salaries. Why? Because you cannot have a good life now and have a good life later if the salary you have today is not even sufficient to sustain your daily needs at this point? Sure, we need a good salary, but that is the first step, not the last. Because the real journey is how do you translate income to wealth? And that is from cash flow to net worth. Let me walk you through this, guys, very quickly. And please do not be intimidated by what appears to be technical terms. They're not. Cash flow is nothing more than what came in and what went out. So you earned money and you spent it. And if there is nothing left, then you probably have a negative cash flow. If there's something na naiwan, you have a positive cash flow. And this is the reason why it's important for us to have budgets. Do you have household budgets? Many of you will say, I don't need that. It's so simple. But that's exactly the reason why we need it because it's so simple. You know the problem pag walang budget? And I'm taking liberties here, guys. Though I'm speaking in Tagalog sometimes. I'm thinking many of us are just locals, no? But I'm also trying to make myself understood in case some people here who are not familiar with our language is listening in. So we want to be inclusive. What's the problem when you don't have a budget? Many people will say we'll overspend. Sure, overspend, but that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem arising from the absence of a household budget is it tells me right away you don't have a target for how much should be left behind. You don't have a target for dapat magkanong maiwan. And I can tell you this. You don't have a target for that, there will be nothing there, right? When we are told not to live beyond our means, when we are told not to spend beyond what we earn, it did not mean if you're spending 25,000 that you can, if you're earning 25,000, that you can spend up to 25,000. There should be something left behind in the bottom line. Why? Because if your cash flow is negative or zero, what does that mean? Can you save money? The answer is no. And if you cannot save, can you invest? The answer is no. And if you cannot invest, can you build net worth? The answer is no. And if you cannot build net worth, which is the ultimate measure of wealth, can you be wealthy? Can you retire? Can you be financially independent? The answer is no. So if the goal is to accumulate wealth, it starts with managing cash flow, which means the immediate goal is to have something left in the bottom line, which means you should not spend more than what you are earning. Now, this is not as simple as it sounds, guys. Let me very quickly talk about this. No? Why do I say it's not as simple as it sounds? Because here is what many people don't understand. No. Many of the people that you consult about wealth will tell you that the first step is to pay yourself first. That's a very common and that's a very shall we say well established advice. Pay yourself first. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Before you spend what you earned, you already set aside the savings that you should be able to put away for the rainy day, and whatever is left after you set aside the savings, that's what you spend to sustain your daily expenses. Now, sounds great on paper, and many people actually agree with that suggestion. It hits, uh, it becomes a problem when you try to apply that in real life. Why? Because in real life, many people do not earn enough to cover all the expenses of daily living in order for them to live comfortably. Many Filipino households go hungry. Many Filipino households do not earn enough to cover everything they need in order for their lives to be meaningful. So what does this mean? If I tell you to pay yourself first and put aside money before you spend it, what that means is savings will come ahead of food. What that means is savings will come ahead of tuition. Savings will come ahead of rent and transportation. That does not work in real life, guys. The reality is, if you want a comfortable life, we must be open to the possibility that we must earn more. We must earn more. And that's a problem. Why? Because then we will encounter another mindset problem in this country. Many people do not actually believe that they can earn more. Do you agree? Every time I throw that question out to many people, I always ask them, what is easier for you to do? To cut your expenses or to earn more? Incredibly, many people think it's easier to cut expenses, even when their expenses are not already being met because of a low income level. No? You want to be wealthy? No company has ever become bigger by cutting expenses. Guys, let me share with you my experience. No? Uh, so, what are the requirements of the government? If you're a lending institution that lends to teachers, public school teachers, is you should be able to conduct financial literacy for them in order to guide them to make more prudent financial decisions. Okay. So this bank, one of the biggest banks, came to me and said, "Can you conduct this financial literacy to the teachers for us?" But there was one colatilia, there was one restriction, and that was I was not allowed to say that you should earn more. You should earn more. So I said, if that is the requirement, I'm not your guy. Because in order for us to achieve financial independence, in order for our lives to be better, we must be open to the possibility that what we are earning right now is not adequate, and that's the reason why we encounter financial problems. We must be open to the possibility that in order for our lives to be better, we must earn more. So that's another mindset problem. I've encountered very many people who say, "But my salary is only like this." Why? Who told you you can't earn more? Only yourself, right? But again, if you are your own biggest hurdle, no one can help you there. You've got to do this on your own and by yourself. So, many hurdles. First, we will say we encounter a big number, which represents our financial freedom number, and we say we can't do it. That's a mindset problem. The next is we're told you want to have a better life. It may have to go beyond cutting expenses. It may have to go beyond paying yourself first. It will have to be earning more. And that's another mindset hurdle for many, many Filipinos. So, what am I trying to communicate to you guys? Much of our lives are lived on the inside. And how our lives turn out externally is a function of what we believe in. If you believe you can't do it, if you believe that the number is too big, it cannot be accomplished. If you believe that you cannot earn more, no amount of financial education will take you to your financial promised land, guys. Because you cannot generate enough savings if you're not earning enough. If you're a security guard earning 15,000 bucks a month and you got four mouths to feed, three kids and a wife, and you come to me asking for financial advice, and I told you, oh, you got to pay yourself first. Will that be reasonable? Will that be realistic? Is that even fair? Right? No, it's not. What is he going to tell his kid? Oh, nak, huwag ka munang kumain today because I got to pay myself first. Right? It just does not make sense. Savings cannot come ahead of food. Savings cannot come ahead of what keeps body and soul together on a daily basis. And that's what we are telling people to do if we tell them to pay themselves first, even if we are mindful of the fact that the earnings are not sufficient to keep body and soul together on a daily basis. You've got to earn more. And so, a quick summary. First step is to have a goal. And that goal is not going to be easy to formulate, nor is it going to be easy to accept because that's going to be a big number. But if we have time on our side, it's going to be a lot more realistic. It's going to be a lot more achievable. Now, the moment the number is there, you will realize I probably have to earn more. Then you hit another roadblock because many of us in this country are the belief that we can't do it. But for those who believe they can do it, now you're able to create a little bottom line, a little savings. And at some point, that savings must translate to investments. What is the difference, guys? What is the difference between savings and investment? Let's say I have 10,000 bucks in my hand right now. 10,000 pesos. Okay? I'm holding it right now. When can I say this is savings? And when can I say this is investment? I know you can't answer, but I'm going to give you a few seconds to formulate an answer in your mind because this is crucial. When is the 10,000 I'm holding in my hand going to be considered savings? And when is it going to be considered investment? Both are money. Both are sums of money. But what you do with it will determine whether it's savings or investment. And the difference is if I'm going to need this money next week, I can't put it away for a long time, which means I can't invest it because I have a need for it next week, which means I'm going to put this in a savings account. And when the need arises, I'm going to use it. So the difference between savings and investment is time. If I have time to give any amount of money, then I can invest it. And if I'm able to invest it, I can get far more from that money as opposed to if I'm only saving it, right? So the goal initially is to create a positive cash flow. Dapat may maiwan. And how do you realistically make that happen? You've got to earn more. The moment you believe that you can earn more, there will be many, many, many ways to make that happen. But it begins with the belief that you can do it. Like I said, sadly, a lot of us need a bit of convincing. But the moment we decide and we believe, it becomes easier. The finance is the easy part, guys. So you're able to save money. At some point, when there's enough savings, and you're able to give time to this, then you can invest. And this is where it gets interesting. Why? Because the moment you talk about investing, then you're talking about two elements, time and returns. And returns can be an exciting thing, right? Many people actually think, and I'd like to share this with you guys very quickly. Um, if I offered you an investment opportunity right now, and I told you, okay, uh, what if I offered you a 30% return on your money each year? Will you invest with me? And many of you are going to smile. I always ask this of live audiences, and many are going to smile, a smile that tells me that it sounds like a scam, right? So 30% sounds too good to be true. And you know what we've been told? No, if it's too good to be true, it sounds too good to be true. Maybe it's too good to be true. And so I say, okay, you're not willing to go with the 30%. What about 100% a year? And then people are bolder in saying, if 30% is a scam, then 100% sounds more of the same. It's even a bigger scam. What about 1,000%, 2,000%, 3,000%? We have been so accustomed to returns of 3, 4, 5, 6%. We think 1,000, 2,000% return is unthinkable, right? But let me just very quickly point this out. So if any of you are invested in the stock market, You're essentially buying shares from a publicly listed company, right? And therefore, the question to ask is the founder and the owner of that publicly listed company started as a small company until it eventually got listed in the stock exchange, and now they're selling stocks to the public, shares to the public. Why are they doing that? Because they're doing that in order to raise funds. They need additional capital, maybe to expand the business. And so, what does this mean? It means that when they sell shares of the company to the public, there must be a basis for the pricing of those shares. And typically, that is expressed as a multiple of 1 peso of profit. Because when you're buying shares in the company, you're essentially buying a share of the profit. Okay. So, in typical stock market parlance, it's multiple can be times 12, times 15, times 20. Let's settle on the times 20. Okay. If the multiple is times 20, that means for every 20 pesos that you invest, you can expect a return of 1 peso, right? So, what kind of return gives you 1 peso for every 20? That is 5%. 1 divided by 20 is 5%. That's not a bad return, right? Your 20 gets 1, 5%. That's great, right? Now, the guy who owned the 1 before you bought it, the founder, your 20 gets 1. How much did his 1 get? His 1 got 20. That's a 2,000% return to him, for him. Is that a scam? No, it's not a scam. That's how people become billionaires. That happens every day in the stock market, right? It's not in the return, it's always in the underlying. What am I telling you guys? The moment you believe that this can be done, many opportunities and paths open up to you. That's what education can do. The moment we believe that we can invest, we need to understand the magic of returns. So, what am I saying? Very basic. First, we set a goal. Next, we ask ourselves, how much time do I have to reach that goal? And how much should I be saving initially? And how much should I be investing eventually? And what kind of returns should I be getting for my goal to be reached? These are very basic questions, guys. And we learn along the way, but it's always anchored on belief that it can be done. And I must admit to you, that's the biggest hurdle every time you talk about financial literacy. Many people don't like talking about numbers, but everybody wants to be wealthy. That's a problem. You know why? Money is a number. You cannot say, I don't like talking about numbers, but I want money. To make money, you must acquaint yourselves with numbers, right? So, what am I saying? Now we're prepared and ready to invest. Now, here's a contrarian view I'd like you to consider. Now, many of us, our concept of good investing is finding the right instrument. Always finding the right instrument. But here's something I'd like you to consider. I will not posit this as the absolute and ultimate truth, but I also want you to think that this may be something you would like to consider. Is this true? No such thing as a winning or losing investment, only winning or losing investors. What does that mean? Is it possible that we can actually buy the same instruments and yet get different results or different returns from the same instruments that we bought? Let me give you an example. Before the pandemic happened, stock market was doing quite well. Okay, and there are 3, 4 of you that decided you wanted to invest. Okay, and you had a barkada named Warren Buffett. And all of you decided Warren Buffett's the genius in this area, so let's just copy him. Typical sa atin yan. We want to copy. No? And this guy is good, so we copy him. We bought the same stocks as he did at the same price, from the same broker, on the same day, at the same volume, same everything. Same everything. Question: do we assume the same risk? An even bigger question: will we get the same returns? Many of the people are saying, if we buy the same shares from him, then we should be getting the same returns, right? But I think the pandemic was very instructive. So, okay, all of you decided to buy and mirror the portfolio of Warren Buffett, the genius, the expert. And then the pandemic happened and the market collapsed, right? From 8,000, it now is down to 6,000, the PSEI. Question: what will Warren do? What will Warren do? He can do many things. He can buy some more, right? He can realign his portfolio, maybe to shares that presented better opportunities. He can wait it out. He has all the tools he needs to make his investment profitable. Question: can you follow what he's going to do? Can you buy some more? Can you wait it out? Do you have the knowledge needed to realign your portfolio? Not necessarily. So, what does that mean? You may buy exactly the same shares, but you're going to get different returns, guys. Why? Because here's the reality: it's not only the instrument that will determine the outcome. Of equal importance is the investor. Let me quote Benjamin Graham: the essence of investment management is the management of risk, not the management of returns. And this is where our paths diverge. Every individual has a different risk capability. What do I mean by that? Every individual has a different level of money, knowledge, and time. The ability to handle risk is personal to every investor, meaning, depending on how much money, knowledge, and time, that will determine your ability to react to conditions in the market. So you cannot follow your friend if you don't have the same resources as he has. And no one really has. Diba? No one really has. Let me give you an example. We're running out of time, but I'll do this very quickly. So one day I got a call from the country's biggest casino asking me to conduct financial literacy for their clients. And I go, so who are your clients? The gamblers. They wanted me to conduct financial literacy for the gamblers. It's like going down to hell and carrying the Bible and conducting a Bible study there. No? So I said, why would you want to conduct financial literacy for the gamblers? And clearly, it's to make prudent financial decisions. But what really piqued my interest there was many people do not play in the casino because they know that the odds of winning is very low, right? And so I asked them, does anyone actually win in the casino? And they said, actually, there's someone who wins. And who is that guy? The guy who can keep on playing. The guy whose resources will not run out and therefore can keep on playing even if he is on a losing streak. If you decide to just copy this guy, when he wins, you win. When he loses, you lose. But you know, the rule of the casino is the house never loses. And you're playing against the house when you're playing in the casino. So you're going to lose often and much. But for a guy who never runs out of money, he will always have a better chance of winning compared to you who may not have as much. So what does it tell us? Of equal consequence is the ability of the investor to handle the risk dictated by the level of his resources, meaning the money, the knowledge, the time that he possesses. Guys, you know, here's the reality. Building wealth is going to be very difficult at the start because it will require resources. It gets easier over time because the more resources you acquire, the better your chances of winning in the investment game and the higher the returns you can obtain from the chances that you take. It's no different from a rocket launch. When you launch a rocket into space, the first 2, 3 minutes are crucial. Why? because the rocket is trying to go up to space and gravity is trying to pull you down. The same with the financial system. It works against those who don't have resources, and it works for those who do. So many rockets fail in the first 2, 3 minutes of launch, but when they get to the atmosphere, everything becomes easier because there's less gravity there. I can assure you that building wealth is going to be very difficult at the start, but if you believe that you can do it, it will actually get easier and easier because based on the resources you accumulate, you will now start to see better and better returns as the level of your resources rise because you're able to take on risks that you cannot take when you're down there. Now, let me conclude my talk by telling you this. Now, in the investment mindset, we're always looking for ways to find the best instrument. That's not the way to do it. You need to understand that risk is intrinsic to the investor. There are 20 of us in this room. We may buy the same shares. We may obtain the same ownership over a similar number of shares, but we can have 20 different outcomes depending on the level of resources of every investor. Why? Because the level of resources will dictate the level of risk he is capable of handling. Okay, so let me conclude by telling you that the reality when it comes to investing is the less resources you have, the less risk you are capable of taking on, and therefore you have to confine yourself to less risky instruments. That's the reason why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, because the rich are able to handle better risk and therefore can obtain better returns. You don't have the resources, you have to play a safer game. Many of us don't like to be in the treasury bills and bonds because the upside is very low. But we don't have the capability to shoulder big losses. So that band is narrow. The more resources you have, the bigger the band. So, by way of concluding this is the best way to look at it. Now, guys, it starts with a goal. You start with a goal, and you better believe it can be done. Because if you don't believe it can be done, the journey's over. And so the first hurdle is to have a mindset that actually can propel you to the achievement of that goal. Second is you must be able to apply principles relating to a positive cash flow, which eventually can translate to your ability to invest. And as you begin to invest, you will realize that you can get better returns as you accumulate more and more resources over time. The key is not in finding the best investment instrument. The key is in making yourself the best investor. And that's the reason why Warren Buffett is a genius. It is difficult to make mistakes when you have so many resources to actually just buy your correction. So that's all we have for today. Hopefully that was helpful to most of you. We have a few minutes for question and answer, but I'd like to direct you back to the studio. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Jong. So many things to digest there. Even the last thing you said, no, the more money I have, the more risk tolerance. Will that really happen? How come some people are young and they become entrepreneurs with less money than I do, and some people just become successful, with less money. It's such an interesting point that you raised there. But indeed, so many things that you've mentioned. What struck me a lot is this fact of 99% of Filipinos will fail to achieve the dream. the discussion because they can hear us. So again, you mentioned that you have to pay yourself first. You've got to earn more. That's also another daunting thing. And you also have to have a goal. It will be a big number. It's not going to be an easy task. That's why it's called a goal. Otherwise, everybody would be financially independent and we would have no reason to have all of these stocks. But it is a daunting goal. It is a difficult thing to face that number that we need. Turning savings into investments is an interesting point. I think a lot of Filipinos are also very, like you mentioned, no, maraming risk averse. And I had also some questions here about debt. Maybe we can, start with that. Just chat up. They can't see us, Jong, but maybe you can mention a little bit about debt. Does debt really mean that the person is not financially independent? What does that mean to you? Is there levels of debt that we have a threshold for?
Okay. I think debt is really a symptom of a bigger problem. Uh, Typically, who will go into debt? People who, we have this notion that debt is incurred largely because we are financially imprudent and many people are actually spending on the wrong things. No, the evidence suggests that that's not really the cause. No, much of debt is incurred, particularly for consumption spending, by people who clearly are unable to support the business of daily living because they don't earn enough. So, what am I saying here? Uh,
Sorry to
when you
interrupt,
don't earn,
because we just
yeah,
got back to the stream. So I'm just telling the audience here that
okay,
nawala kami for a while, and I threw a quick question on what about debt? Does it mean that you're not financially independent? Is there a threshold for debt? Go ahead.
okay. Clearly, if you have debt, it doesn't mean that your net worth is negative right away, right? Because net worth essentially is expressed as everything you own less everything you owe. So, in fact, debt is another mindset problem, right? Here's one thing many people don't understand about debt. Debt is a poverty instrument for the poor, but it's a wealth instrument for the wealthy. No? People can become wealthy from debt, but only if you are in a position to profit from debt. Now, most people do not profit from debt. And
Okay.
it comes down to what are you spending on when you incur the debt? If you are spending on liabilities, let me say, when we say liabilities, that includes both prudent and imprudent spending. So that can include food, can include shelter, tuition, but that can also include the spending on the irresponsible iPhone or the trips that you cannot afford. All of these expenses do not accumulate to become something bigger than what you spend. In other words, they don't take on value. So they become liabilities. Okay. Many rich people acquire debt to purchase assets. So it comes down to this. Many of us Filipinos have been conditioned to believe that debt is a bad thing. No, it's not. Debt can be good, it can be bad, depending on how you use it. And it comes down to if you're buying liabilities with the debt you're incurring, that can drive you into further trouble. But if you are buying assets and incurring debt because of that, and these assets are increasing, then it's good. In fact, let me give a quick example, Danny. Um, Amortization is an expense. It's a debt that is typically incurred to purchase a house. And without going into the pros and cons of buying a house, in the Philippines, typically when you buy a house, its value will increase over time. Now, we have seen how rigid prices are going down when it comes to the housing market. So, what it means is when you incur debt to purchase a house, even if you live in it, at some point, because the value increases, then that's good debt, right? So, it's important to understand that debt in and of itself is not good or bad. It is what you use it for. That will determine if it's a good or bad decision. So that's where I stand on that matter. Yeah.
Is there a certain age where you should not have debt? I'm just curious for myself, no? Because of course at this age I'm still earning, I'm still ano, and then I'm using that for investments. But is there a certain point where I need to pay it all off and then I should be completely debt free, or you can make it work for you forever till you die?
Okay, so the idea of being debt free as a financial goal uh, has been pushed in this country for a long time, right? But I don't subscribe to that notion. Okay, let me just okay. Let's say let's go back to the example now. You're earning 50,000, you're spending 50,000, and your goal is 15 million to achieve financial independence. Your cash flow is zero. So how do you achieve financial independence and accumulate 15 million if your cash flow is zero? You don't, right? So obviously you need to create a positive cash flow. And here are the propositions. One, you spend 15,000 less than what you're spending on. That's tough. That's tough because 50,000 is not a big amount, right? So instead of spending 50,000, you spend only 35 to create a positive cash flow of 15. Okay. The alternative is you earn 15,000 more. Okay. So you either spend 15,000 less or 15,000 more. Now, it's tough to cut 15,000 from a 50,000 expense. That means you're going to eat less. That means you probably move to a smaller house. That's tough.
Tough.
It's easier to earn more.
Okay.
So now you have 65,000 income as opposed to 50,000 expenses. What are you going to do with the 15,000 to make it 15 million in 15 years? The answer, you incur debt.
Mm,
How? Okay,
leverage.
so let me tell you this. If I offered you an investment that'll give you 1,800% return in 1 month, you'll probably say I'm a scammer, right? You say I'm a scammer. But if you actually took out a loan from Pag-ibig and used the 15,000 as an amortization, that's going to give you probably like 2 million bucks over a
Okay.
25-year loan. Okay. So your 15,000 extra cash flow immediately became a 2 million asset. And if that asset was purchased in a neighborhood where growth rates are at 11% each year, in 15 years, that's going to be worth 10.8 million, right? So we're getting closer to our goal of 15 million. If you had rented that out, you free up the 15,000, you put that in a mutual fund of 4%, that'll give you your balance of 4.2. So 15 million is not impossible. That's the easy part, the finance, no? But what is fueling the growth? It's debt. You're borrowing money.
Mm,
So again, there is no age, there is no, shall we say, imposition on when you should be financially independent because debt, like I said, in the right hands can be a wealth instrument, but in the wrong hands can be a poverty instrument, depending on how you use it. And so, what am I saying, guys? I think what's important is for us to understand that just like any other instrument, it can be good or bad depending on who's using it. So you have to make yourself the right investor. Money in the wrong hands will always go the wrong way, regardless of whether you think the instrument is good or bad. So that's where I stand on that, Danny.
thank you for that. And this brings us to the first audience question. It's very specific because she says, if I'm not investment savvy, so she's already, or he is already labeling oneself as such, maybe they didn't have a background in finance, they've never touched these sort of instruments before. What would be the best strategies for people like that starting out? And how can I start making smart financial decisions without feeling so overwhelmed with the products that are available, and not have this, let's say, education, financial education, that some people already have?
That's a great question, and it was predicated on if I'm not financially savvy,
Mm,
then you've got to make yourself financially savvy. Why? Your lack of financial savvy will limit your options, largely because one important element of financial success in investing is knowledge. You can't be putting money in things you don't understand. And so you can't expect the
Yeah.
instruments to adjust to your lack of financial savviness. Instead, you've got to make a better version of yourself in order for you to free up opportunities that will not be available to you largely because you're not financially savvy. Now, I think this is important to say, no? In many, in the way we were taught in this country, we are graded as pass or fail, right? Pass or fail, which means yes, you're good enough, and no, you're not good enough. No. In many progressive countries around the world, the grading system is not pass or fail. It is proceed and not yet. When they say not yet, you're not quite at the level to go forward, so you spend a little more time preparing yourself. And then when you acquire a certain level of mastery, then you can proceed. No? So all of us are on a journey of learning. So if you say you're not financially savvy, that's where you are at right now.
Mhm.
That's not where you should be at always. You've got to go forward. The same with wealth. No? You can only earn as much as what your level of development will give you. You cannot hope to earn so much and say, I'm not financially savvy because success in financial investing requires that we commit ourselves to acquiring more knowledge. So that's, I think, the best way to look
Of
at
course,
it.
people are so lucky these days because you have all the resources online on YouTube. You can attend
Right.
these talks for free. So by after this talk, dapat you're financially savvy already to some certain extent, diba? This is already what you are hoping to be. All right, second question. No, we of course this is insurance related. How does it fit into the overall picture? How does insurance um, relate to financial independence?
Well, that's a fascinating question. I'm really happy that was asked. No, let's go back to the problem, guys. The problem is at the end of life, 99% of all people in this country are not going to be leaving wealth behind. Now, unfortunately, it's not a zero they leave behind; it's debt because people are going to get sick and debt is going to be incurred, right? Where does insurance figure? Insurance, there are two ways to solve the problem of intergenerational dependency. The first is you have to be rich in your productive years to be sustainable in your productive years. That is going to be difficult because you're either sustaining parents and children at the same time. That's the long answer. The short answer, buy insurance. Because even if you're not going to be leaving wealth behind, at least you leave a clean slate. And I have a book coming up that says zero is a birthright, meaning our goal should be to leave a clean slate behind. And insurance can guarantee that. Wala ka mang iniwang yaman, wala ka rin iniwang problema. No? So that's where insurance figures. In fact, the first step in the journey is to guarantee that a zero is the lowest you can go. And that's what insurance can do for you. So, yon.
Don't add to the problems of the next generation. Give them a
Yeah.
fresh start. All right, and I think we have time for just one last question, Jong. No, is there? And
Yeah.
I guess I preluded to that already earlier on. Is there an optimal age to start planning for retirement? I guess the earlier the better, of course. But is it ever too late to start? I'm in my late 40s. Can I still catch up? And how exactly do I need to work way harder than everybody else that started earlier? I mean, what do you do if you started late?
Well, you said it. No, you said it. Okay. Here, the thing about math is it's immutable. Okay. There are no negotiations when it comes to numbers because it's an absolute science. Okay. When do you start planning retirement? That's the reason why we don't call it retirement. Because the moment you label it as retirement, these young guys will say, huh, retirement? I just graduated or talking retirement. I can't do that, right? So you encourage them by taking the problem to the present, and that is you've got to be wealthy. You got to be wealthy. Remember, being wealthy and being retired, they have the same meaning. So you've got to label what is attractive to younger people. And when do you start planning financial independence? The day you receive your first paycheck, which means when you're 21, 22 years old. Now, here's the consequence of planning a little later. Uh, when you have less time, you have fewer options. What does that mean? Number one, if you have less time to build 15 million, let's say, Danny, I'm 2 years away from retirement and you're 20 years away. And we have the same 30 million target, right? You have a lot of options because you clearly have a lot of time. I'm running out of it. So what does it mean? I have to be able to invest much more, or I must find a way to get a much higher return. Either way, that limits my options because if I don't have enough sources to invest much more, then I may have to take risks I cannot afford to make. And that's the reason why people get attracted to 50, 60, 70% returns in investments that have no underlying instruments. That's what you call a scam, right? So, what am I telling you guys? Get good guidance from your financial advisors. Be on the lookout always for opportunities to build wealth, enjoy a comfortable and happy life today. Because if you want to be happy in the future, that happiness should be obtained today, not in the future. So there.
All right. So we need to work extra hard if that happens, but it's not impossible, no? So just ask somebody that can also help you, like a financial planner. I think I have a couple more questions, John, very quickly. This one:
Sure.
how can I ensure my retirement savings last throughout my retirement years, especially, with inflation, with things we cannot predict, with, I don't know, sicknesses and all of that might come up, even if you mentioned, you already have this goal in mind. Is it always sure that that's going to last me throughout the rest of my life?
Well, sadly, there are no guarantees. First of all, we live in a country where when you get sick, you're on your own. Okay. Secondly, inflation is going to eat away at your capital. And of late, our investment opportunities have been underwater from inflation. Meaning, you get far less yield and the returns than what inflation will actually do to your money. And here's the thing we don't understand really. Many people underestimate the cost of retirement living. Guys, you spend more in retirement than you do when you're working. Okay, so when you're retired, you're not cooped up in the office. You're looking for things to do. You probably would like to travel more often. You probably have your grandkids staying with you. You'd like to finance some of their tuition. In other words, this notion that you spend less in retirement is not supported by evidence. And that's the reason why money runs out a lot faster. And that's the reason why we need to plan this a lot better. Of
Right.
course, the big caveat there is you're going to get sick
Yeah.
and the inevitability of illness in this country means that because Danny, I'm telling you, not everybody starts retirement without money. Some people actually have money at the start. It is when they get sick that
That's so
gets
daunting naman.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
and 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 that's when you realize that it's tough to be sick and
True.
without money and you're completely dependent on someone in the last years of your life and that could be prevented by early planning,
Okay.
at least mitigated if not prevented completely.
All right. Well, we would have wanted to go on, but I think that's a good way to, have food for thought for people. Like, again, at the end of the day, there are no guarantees here. This is not science that you can determine everything. But the point is to be able to focus on what we can control, and we have time for that. We have the resources and the tools to do that. So thank you so much, Jong, for all of that insights, for that inspiring session. We bring a lot of valuable takeaways home, and I think everyone needs to reassess their situation when they get home, and start calculating, start understanding what steps they need to take towards financial independence. So once again, we thank you so much for all your
Thank
time.
you. Yeah.
And before we wrap up, ladies and gentlemen, just a few important announcements to share with you. So, as a token of our appreciation for joining us today, all of you guys, at least those between 18 to 69, are entitled to receive 100,000 pesos worth of free G Shield accident insurance for 100 days. That's courtesy of InLife. So, to claim this, just scan the QR code. You will be seeing that on your screens right now. I'll give you a few seconds. And if you don't have a camera with you, you could also click on the link that will be provided in the chat box so that you can get all the necessary details. Once again, 100,000 pesos worth of free G Shield accident insurance for 100 days. So not a bad deal. Be on the lookout for an email from us in the next few days on the instructions, how to claim the free accident insurance, including all of the terms and conditions. And it is, of course, not a webinar without a giveaway alert. So we want to know what you liked and learned from this session. And to enter our giveaway, follow these simple mechanics. First, follow the InLife Facebook page and our YouTube channel. And then watch the session that you just had. I know you were all watching intently naman, but do leave a comment telling us what you liked, what you learned, your takeaways. And importantly, tag 3 friends in the comment section and include our official event hashtag. Once again, that is hashtag InLife Financial Independence Series. Make sure, by the way, that the profile page is set to public. And the deadline for these entries will be in about a week. So that's August 9, 2024. And to 6 lucky winners, we will be awarding 1,000 pesos of G Cash credit. So you will choose 3 from Facebook and 3 from YouTube. So don't miss out on that chance. Takes you a couple of minutes to do, and you might win 1,000 pesos that you can again invest in your future and save. So don't miss out on this free opportunity. And if you are already an InLife policy holder, do yourself a favor, keep yourself updated with the latest InLife happenings and other contests. You can download the InLife app via the App Store or Google Play Store. It's really convenient because through that app, it's very easy to manage your policies, monitor your funds, and you know what you can see, you can measure, you can quickly and easily connect with InLife as well if you have any concern. So if you also just update your contact information through the InLife app, you might well win even more exciting prizes. So once again, download the InLife app, reconnect with InLife, and win. So more details will be shared by InLife very, very soon. And finally, we would really love to hear your feedback. So take a moment to answer our post-session survey. You've got the link shared in the comment section. This is very important for us. We have 3 more in this series to go, and we want to be able to give you the best content and improve our future sessions. And while we're at it, before I let you go, our next session, please mark your calendars. In this financial independence series, we'll be focusing on financial independence for women, because of course women, as we know, are the money managers of the home. We know that. So yes, once again, let me just go back to the QR code because we're showing it on the screen for the post-session survey. So just a few seconds there for you to scan the post-session survey QR code. Tell us your thoughts, what you want to see in the next webinars that we are preparing for. So there's quite some time still for us to do some tweaks for that. And once again, the next one is focusing on financial independence for women. That is the same time on August 23, 2024. So again, that's just in a few weeks. We will also be streaming that on InLife's Facebook and YouTube channels. And our special guest that time will be Miss Rose Fres Fausto. She will be sharing her insights on empowering women through financial literacy and independence. So once again, thank you so much for being part of this journey towards financial independence. We look forward to seeing you all in our next session. Stay safe, stay healthy. Keep striving for financial freedom. This has been Dr. Danny Laurel. So happy to be your host, and I'll see you on August 23rd. Magandang araw, everyone.
world of today may have changed, yet our belief has always stayed the same. Everyone deserves the good. That's why we've changed for the better. We've made ourselves better, so we can reach those who have just begun to chase after their dreams. So we can give women the light by which to guide their families to a better tomorrow. So we can realize the hope that every Filipino harbors and move forward, leaving no one behind. We're better today, because today is what shapes the future. And in the future, we see everyone leading a lifetime for good. InLife, a lifetime for good.
Saang sulok ng langit ko matatagpuan? Sa pangarap lang namasdan, isang lingon sa langit at isang ngiting wakas. May talang kikislap, gabay patungo sa tamang landas. Unti-unting madarating, kalangitan at bituin. Unti-unting kinabukasan ko'y magniningning. Hawak ngayon, tibay ng damdamin. Bukas naman sa'king pagising, kapiling ko'y pangarap na bituin.
InLife, a dream today, a lifetime for good tomorrow.
That's why InLife is joining.
How can InLife protect my future if I keep changing the future I want? Now, I just want to earn in life. But soon, I want all my bases in life covered. And of course, I want to live long to enjoy in life. That's why I really need to keep things flexible in life.
InLife Wealth Assure Plus puts you in control with comprehensive protection, accessible investments, and cash and health benefits, so you can have the freedom to do what you want and not what others want. With Wealth Assure Plus, we got you covered.
Papa, no more orange.
No more orange? Do you mix red with yellow? Orange.
Wow, galing mo naman, Papa.
To my 5-year-old self, Papa knew everything. To my 10-year-old self, Papa may not have known everything.
Balik ka nga dito.
To my 18-year-old self,
Husay naman sa accounting.
I knew more things than Papa. Now that Papa's gone, I realize he knew the things that truly matter. Today, I'm 24, a financial analyst and CPA, a big sister, a page shooter to my siblings, and a dedicated caregiver to Mama. Papa made everything possible. He took good care of us, watched over us, and kept us safe and secure. In life and for a lifetime, Papa made me believe in the power of good. Thanks, Pa. Miss na miss na kita.
Insular Life, living on as in life, a lifetime for good.
Welcome to the InLife mobile app, where managing InLife policies is not just a task, but a seamless experience. Unlock a world of possibilities. Monitor InLife policy funds. Manage policy transactions. And connect with InLife instantly. Empowering policyholders, assisting advisors on their unique financial journey. Navigate effortlessly through InLife policies with the improved and more intuitive interface. It's designed with our policyholders in mind. New to the app?